excuse the pun so early on, but dude, these things are brilliant. That's a work light, except when it morphs seamlessly into a torch, and you can do so much with it, right? You can stick it just on the floor and angle it where you want. It's magnetic, so you can stick it underneath a steel beam or on a column and get the light exactly where you need to do whatever. It's great under the house. It's great in your tool belt. It's great in the glove box of your car. It's rechargeable. And it's a real alternative to an ordinary torch. Hashtag not sponsored. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au, and I get new cars cheap. Australia only. Website. Card. Now, dude, I'm trying as hard as I can on the card, and I'm sitting here working my ass off, begging for acceptance and approval from the likes of you, and all I get reflected back at me in the comments is, you're not looking in the right place for the card. Well, your worship, all I can offer you in mitigation for that one is I'm not seeing it. Like, dude, I'm literally not seeing it. It's not there when I do this. It's my best guess. So, you know, this opprobrium, card opprobrium, is sucking out my soul and leaving me a withered husk. You can imagine how deeply it affects me. Anyway, I think with the right medication and the proper therapy, I might one day live to fight again. Anywho, let us talk about this, because this is the original OLIGHT swivel, and I've been a huge fan of this for months upon months, endlessly now. I've got one in the ute just out there and another one up on the shelf just up there. They're awesome. They're so versatile, and they're a real alternative to a conventional tactical torch, which is also OLIGHT's forte, and I'm talking about something like that. And people always misinterpret it when I say tactical torch, because I always joke about zombie slaying, but that's really not what it is. The thing that distinguishes a tactical torch, because torches are shit weapons, like, let's be realistic. You're not allowed to carry a weapon for defensive purposes in Australia. That would be against the law. Torches are just potentially a good improvised deterrent, because when the zombie attacks you that fateful afternoon in the underground car park, you can just blast him like that by virtue of the thumb switch on the back, which is always there, always good to go, and very easy to access under pressure, in the way that a little side switch like this just isn't. It's really hard, and then you turn it on and you remember that, oh, I'm in not so bright mode. So how do I get to bright mode again? Is it one press? Oh no, that turns it off. Or maybe I've got to get it back on, and now maybe it's press and hold. And how many cycles is that till bright? And, oh no, I've gone too far. By that time, the zombie is eating your brain. Much better to have a tail switch that's always there, always good to go. Okay? So if you're not planning on being attacked by a zombie anytime soon, then maybe that kind of thing is overkill, and maybe you're a more practical seeker of versatility, in which case these kinds of things are awesome. And they just expanded the range. This is the original swivel, this is the Swivel Pro, and this baby here is the Swivel Pro Max. And they're all slightly different. These two have some upgrades that this one doesn't. I just want to run through with you what they are, though, because there's a sale on right now. It starts at 8 o'clock tonight, which would be Monday night the 12th, and it's going to go all the way to Friday night at midnight. So the discounts are pretty good on Swivel at the moment. I think just under $40 for this one during the sale, just under $76 for this one during the sale, just under $100 for this one. Okay, so to me, that is really good value for something that is rechargeable. You never need to feed it batteries, and so versatile. They've all got some things in common. We might as well get that out of here. They've all got the same basic form factor, which is magnetic base, snap hook, articulation, and things of that nature. They're all also IPX4 rated for environmental protection. You know, ingress protection is what that IP actually stands for. The first digit after the P is all about dust, and the next one is all about water. And X just means not tested for ingress protection. But the only place dust could possibly get in that I could see is the USB-C recharging port, and it's got a little rubber grommet, and if that's shut, I'm failing to see how any dust would get in whatsoever, although it's unrated for that. If it's a 0, then that's kind of bad. That means dust can get in everywhere. I think the best rating for dust is 6, and then the next one is the top rating is 7, and that would be for immersion down to about 1 metre, and this is a 4. Okay, they're all 4s. So 4s for water means splashing, which is better than the rating for drips and better than the rating for sprays, but not as good as jets or powerful jets or immersion. That's how this works. So 4 is somewhere in the middle. I'm inferring from the 4 rating that if you've got to get out in the rain with this when you're camping, or if there's a storm at home and something happens and you need to get out with a light source, it's going to be just fine, okay? They're all USB-C rechargeable. They all use the tilting magnetic base. They've all got the snap hook. That's the anatomy of a swivel. Now, I suppose we should get into why I see them being so versatile, right? Because they're great for use around a car. You can stick a swivel on the metal panels of the car because they got magnets on the back of the base. You can sit them on the ground and shine them at the wheel, leaving both hands free to change a tyre in the middle of the night. You can stick it on the mudguard for the same thing. With the snap hook, of course, you can hang it from the clip that holds the bonnet down when the bonnet is up in the air, and then you can just angle the light wherever you need it. And again, both hands are going to be free, and you haven't got to stick a torch like this in between your teeth, which gets pretty old, let me tell you, having done that once or twice. Now, they're also pretty good. For example, if you've got a ute, you can stick your swivel on the roof, on the trailing edge of the roof of your ute, and you can whip it down here and use it to illuminate your cargo bay. That leaves both hands free. It's going to identify tripping hazards and make it much harder for you to fall out while you're doing something in the middle of the night. Easier to tie ropes and lift heavy things with both hands free because your light is fixed, okay? It's also a really good thing for use in your fat cave because you've got to, from time to time, you've got to stick a light on the side of some machine because you want to see more precisely where a blade is going or where a drill is going or something of that nature. Really easy to do that with this. It fits in a tool belt. It's great for getting under the house and into the ceiling cavity and all that sort of stuff. You got a nail up there, you just put a nail into a collar tie or a rafter or something. All of a sudden, you've got a work light that you can manipulate wherever you need it to be to get the job done just by hanging it there. So I think that's pretty clever as well. And you can fit either of these into a pocket, not so much this one. I mean, it will fit, it's just not that practical. What else? If you got a back shed, like you got a Zinc-Alume shed in the backyard and you don't have a light in it and you got to do something there in the middle of the night, your swivel is just going to stick wherever, to the walls, you know, to the roof, whatever, and you'll have a decent work light in your shed for the small amount of time that you probably need that. And you don't have to run any batteries or install a solar panel or whatever to have an alternative lighting solution in your shed. So I reckon that's pretty clever. One in the car, one in your shed, brilliant, okay? Camping, great for camping as well, because one of the brilliant things literally about these lights is all the different settings. Now, that's really not bright. You know, it's not shining that much in, you know, you're not getting too much overexposure, even way close to the lens. And that can't be overstated. The benefit of that can't be overstated too much, because from time to time when you're camping or when you're just working outside at night, you don't want it to be too bright because you don't want to ruin your night vision. Like, you don't want it super bright here and then have to reach over here for something else, some tool that you put down, and all you can see is just utterly black because the super brightness has spoiled your night vision. It's really good for looking around in a bag and looking around a toolbox, whatever. It doesn't spoil your night vision if you use a dim light. And on the dimmest settings, these things run endlessly, like they run for hours. And I just want to talk to you about specifically the differences between them, and so you can make some decision, because it's pretty hard to just look at the website and go, that one. Better if you can see it in the flesh and maybe hear what somebody who's been playing with these for at least a few days now. Certainly I've been playing with these ones for a few days, and this one I've had for years now. So anyway, this is 180 grams. Comfortably pocket size, like it fits in your pocket, no problem, and it's easy to withdraw. In flashlight mode, you get a 200 lumen flashlight, which is this one, and then you get a less bright one as well, which is like 50, and it'll run like that for 27 friggin' hours. 180 grams. That's the beauty of LED technology, right? In floodlight mode, which is obviously work light mode, then you get a couple of different settings. You get 400, 160 and 12 lumens, and 12 is basically firefly mode. That's really good for your night vision. Runs forever like that as well. 90 hours, I think, in firefly mode. So you could go away for several days, and if all you did was use that light torch for, searching around for this and that in your bag or looking around in the tent, whatever, in your swag, then it's basically going to run forever in the context of a weekend away. And this one is white light only, I got to tell you too. The other two have red modes. We'll get to that. This has been drop tested to 1 metre, so it's fairly robust. I tested the drop test rating with another sort of tactical OLIGHT, and it took me like 30 goes to break it, and I was throwing it up into the air and onto the concrete, significantly higher than its drop test rating, and it actually failed when it fell straight down like that onto the concrete from about 4 metres, and I think it was drop tested to 2 metres. So I'm impressed by the ruggedisation that they build into the thing. And also I've had this one in my pocket for like donkey's years, and it rubs up against my Leatherman all the time. It's got scuffs all over it, and it has never once failed to operate when I needed it, excuse me, to work. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold at the moment. So what do you get if you step up from basic swivel to the new Swivel Pro? And I'd suggest, in a nutshell, the biggest advantage is a much brighter work light. This will be 1100 lumens in bright mode. And what happens there is you get super bright mode, 1100 lumens for 10 minutes, and then the battery gets somewhat depleted and it drops down automatically to 660 lumens, and it'll run like that for 3 hours. And then when the battery is substantially depleted and can no longer sustain 660, it'll drop down to 400 lumens, and you'll know that you'll have 20 minutes of battery endurance remaining until deafening silence in the domain of visible light, right? So anyway, that's a lot of endurance. That's 3.5 hours on bright. And obviously if you run it in medium mode or low mode, you get much more endurance than that. In low mode, actually, we'll just get there now so you can see it. Low mode is 35 lumens, and it will run like that for 84 hours. Another couple of neat tricks as well with floodlight mode. We can go through the white light settings, then we get to the first red light setting. The interesting thing about red light is that it's much better for preserving night vision. So if you're walking around a campsite or actually bushwalking, you'll have better night vision, meaning if you have to look over there and rely on ambient moonlight or something, red is the way to go there because it is the least likely to have a meaningful impact on your night vision. One more trick on floodlight mode that I need to show you. We'll go through the modes again because that's the only way to get there. It's got a warning strobe. So if you break down in a bad location and you need to signal to oncoming traffic that there is a problem and this is the only way to do it, then you could potentially glue that by magnet to the roof of your vehicle, or you could even put it 3 or 4 metres out to the side towards the traffic so that they go around the light and give you a wide berth. And obviously in this situation the best thing to do is to move to a safer location. That's not much help if the car's not going anywhere, and you really need to just boost your safety while you sort this sort of problem out, okay? So inside this unit is a couple of 18650 lithium-ion batteries for a total of 5,200 milliamp hours. The other kind of interesting trick with this is on the arse end you get a tripod base. You actually get a tripod mounting screw just there, which is the standard 1/4-20 UNC, right? This is the basic thread that's in the bottom of every camera that you've ever owned, and it's a more or less standard fitment. So every tripod with a little screw in the top of it goes into this. every tripod plate that is detachable from a tripod will screw into this and give you a tripod mounting solution. If you pull the head off a professional photographic tripod, though, you don't get 1/4 20, you get 3/8 16, which is the next size up. So that's just something to be aware of. And the base also rotates in this direction 150 degrees, which is something that your standard swivel does not do. So that's the reason to spend another $36 if the bulk doesn't matter. You just get a much more effective work light. And finally, let's talk about upgrading from Swivel Pro to Swivel Pro Max, because I see there being a substantially different use case for this kind of thing. It's not pocket friendly, obviously. In extremis, you could jam it in a pocket, but it's not going to be a happy union, is it? And you don't have flashlight mode. Instead, what you get under this rubber cap is power bank mode. So there's a USB-C port there for charging and a USB-A port for power out. So you can have USB-A to USB-C and you can charge up your dead phone, which is quite useful. There's twice as many batteries. There's 4 18650s in this baby. There's 2 in this baby. And that gives Swivel Pro Max much better endurance and more brightness as well. It's got the same basic functionality in terms of it's got red mode and flashing red mode, and then you just press and hold and you get white floodlight mode and you get the various brightness modes there. There's turbo, high, medium and low, and it's the same sort of floodlight deal, albeit brighter. This one maxes out at 1100 lumens. This baby maxes out at 1600. This baby will run forever, like 170 hours on the minimum spec floodlight, which is like 45 lumens. So if you want a serious work light for a tool bag or for your ute, then this is an obvious contender, which is also useful if you're going to be camping or doing something and your phone goes flat or you need a power bank. This is a power bank and a light. It means you don't have to carry a power bank potentially, so it's one less thing to carry, which is always kind of nice. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring these developments, these new OLIGHT developments to your attention. Once again, this video not sponsored, but I've been such a fan of this that I've got them essentially everywhere, Fat Cave, ute, and now I'm torn. In particular, I'm torn by this baby because the Swivel Pro does everything the standard swivel does, only bigger and better. And the only way that this is better is that it fits in your pocket better, which is something I hardly ever do because I've always got this baby in my pocket. So I honestly think that we've got a new winner for Fat Cave and in-vehicle operation, which is the super versatile, much brighter, greater endurance and somewhat more functional Swivel Pro. So anyway, that's my take on that. Over to you. And like I say, not sponsored. I am just a huge fan of these things. And for me, they've been, the swivel's been utterly reliable and just a good thing to have on hand. So if that's worth anything and you haven't figured out what you're getting yourself for Christmas yet, maybe that's something to consider.